I welcome you to this great program that your Okpameri people have been waiting for. I've been receiving calls for the past 2 or 3 years, calling on me, urging me to begin this program. I welcome you formally to the maiden edition of Okpameri Studies. Omomesemu, Agbeo, Omolemude. It depends on when you are listening to me. It could be in the morning, it could be in the afternoon, or in the evening. In Okpameri, we say, Agbeo Wamolemude. That is good morning. And then Wamoshao, good afternoon, and Wamomesemi, good evening. Eva Meki Olabode Omowumi Steve Ekundayo. Short form, Bode Steve. Memeki, the national coordinator for the development of the Okpameri language and the composition of Okpameri dictionary. I am very happy to speak to my people, a clarion call for the teaching of Okpameri language and the writing or putting together of our dictionary. Many of our children at home, surprisingly, cannot speak Okpameri again. Even at home, they cannot speak Okpameri. It's surprising to note. You go home and children born in Ibilo, Lakpese, and all the other Okpameri villages cannot speak Okpameri language. Is that fair? It's not fair. And of course, those of us who are educated, we can't write in Okpameri language. And people have been calling on me, writing me and say, why don't you start a program? Why don't you teach our people Okpameri language? By the special grace of God, it is time to give back. And so this program is exclusive for Okpameri Studies, where we'll be studying Okpameri language, how to write Okpameri language, Okpameri history, Okpameri culture, Okpameri proverbs, Okpameri riddles, Okpameri jokes, and all the rest to develop our people and to ensure the unity of our people. So I want my Okpameri people to like what I'm doing, subscribe, and share. It's going to be weekly. Every week, I will drop 1 or 2 videos in Okpameri language and studies. Today, the word Okpameri denotes 1, the language that you speak, which is called Okpameri, and 2, it denotes the people who speak the language. And of course, 3, all the villages that constitute Okpameri, the Okpameri nation. Do you know the number of villages and towns that constitute the Okpameri nation? It's a big question. A lot of us are born at home. We do not know. Can you mention all the Okpameri villages in Akoko Edo? Some of us even think that the language of Okpameri is limited, restricted to Akoko Edo alone. That is not true. We are going to mention them in alphabetical order. The first Okpameri village, and coincidentally, the villages also coincide with variety. Each village speaks a variety. Some clusters speak a particular variety. The first one is Aduge. Aduge is in Kogi, somewhere in the northern fringes of Oma, Imoga. The Aduge people and Imoga people are actually the same. Aduge migrated from Imoga to the present position just behind or after Ose, River Ose, okay, in Kogi State. Aduge speaks Imoga variety of Okpameri. And then the second village or town is Agbaneshumu. Third one is Ayegunle or Osi. And then we have Bekuma. Indigenous also call it Viekuma. That has to do with the origin. When we are giving the origin of the different villages, I am going to talk about why it is Bekuma or Viekuma. Then we have Dangbala. Dangbala. Of course, we have Eko. Eko. Ekpe. Ekpeza. And after Ekpeza, we have Eshawa. After Eshawa, we have Ibilo. Remember, we mentioned them in alphabetical order. Then we have Ikironle and Ikironke. That is Ikiron 1 and 2. Ikiron is also called Afeye. and Ebune. Then we have Langpese. We have Ogbe or Ogbe. Then we have Ugugu. Then we have Makeke. We have Oja. And then we have Ojirame. Then we have Onumu 1 and Onumu 2. Of course, we have Onyauza. Then Somorika, that our people also call Amon. And then Ugboshi-Afe. Then Ugboshi-Ele. We have Uma or Imoga. I think I have mentioned about 25 or 23 of them. And these are the villages and towns that constitute the Okpameri nation. But of course, there are other similar languages in Akoko Edo and even in Ondo. If you go to the Ishwa area, Ishwa, Ifira, just before Anyoro and Kakomo, before Ekino-Oke or so, or Ekino-Ile now, we have a variety of Okpameri spoken there. But of course, because they are in Ondo State, they do not associate themselves as Okpameri. Now, let us shift from there to the varieties spoken, the varieties of Okpameri language. You find that of these 25 or 23, if you add the villages that have several clusters of sub-villages like Makeke, Imoga, Ekiron, and where again, Onumu, we'll be talking about 26,000 villages in Akoko Edo. That is why people say that Okpameri constitute more than 50%, if not 60% of Akoko Edo, which is largely true. Now let us look at the varieties spoken there. There are clusters of variety. I classify them into two major varieties, but there are more than that. The first is what I will refer to as the mainland variety or mainland varieties, because even the mainland ones are not one, there are several, but they look closer than the second type that I call the uphill, okay, or mountain varieties. The mainland varieties are as follows. Imoga. Let's leave Aduge now. Since Aduge is in Kogi, we start from Imoga to the northern part, then you come to Ibilo. Then if you go to the western part, you hit Eko, and then you hit Ekiron-Ile and Ekiron-Oke. If you go to the eastern part, you hit Langpese. You hit Bekuma, then of course Ekpeza. As you go to the south, you hit Ekpeza, and of course Ugboshi-Ele. These are the mainland varieties, and they look more than 90% the same. Even if you close your eyes, when an Ibilo man is speaking or an Imoga man, you will hear. If you are a stranger, you can't even know, you hardly would know the difference between an Imoga, Langpese, Eko, Ekiron, and of course, Ekpeza speaking. But out of this mainland variety, we can further sub-classify them. We have, for instance, Imoga, Aduge, Eko, they are the same, 95 or more percent. Then Ibilo, Ekpeza, they are the same, almost 100%. So that if an Ekpeza person is speaking and an Ibilo person is speaking, you won't know the difference. They are almost exactly the same. And then the hilltop or uphill varieties, these are villages that are surrounded by rocks or on top of hills. Okay, the topography is hilly. Among them, they start from, if you go east to the eastern part of Okpameri, the hilltop varieties begin from Ekpe. Ekpe is very close to Bekuma after Langpese. And then if you look at the central part, you have, in fact, Ugugu, Ekpe, Makeke, Oja, Dangbala, Ojirami, Somorika, Onomo 1 and 2, Osi, Ayegule, and Ugboshi-Ele, Onyaoza, Agbaneshomu, and then Eshawa. They are all hit up varieties. Now we can classify them to sub-varieties, because even among the mainland varieties that I mentioned earlier, they aren't the same. They are not exactly the same, although we understand one another. But in all this, we understand one another. The nearer two varieties, the closest or closer the mutual intelligibility. For example, Ibilo people, Imoga, Lampese, Ekpeza, Eko, you know, do not have problem. Bekuma, they understand themselves perfectly. What we must discourage is this ego boosting, ego trip by some Okpameri people, by some Okpameri villages who habitually say that they are the original Okpameri and some people are not original. That sounds, it sounds preposterous. It sounds anti-progressive, and in fact, annoying to hear an Okpameri person say that we are original Okpameri and then the other people are not original. As an expert in this area, I want to assert that to say any statement to that effect is predicated on ignorance and just ego trip. No variety of a language is superior to the other. It's been established all over the world. You do not say that this variety is the best, or this variety is the best, it is the smoothest, it is the one that is easiest to learn, or we are the original, the other people are counterfeit. You are looking for trouble. You are not talking like an educated man if you say that Ibilo variety is superior to Lampese variety, or Lampese is superior to Makeke variety. If you say that, you are looking for trouble. You do not know what you are saying. Because every variety of a language serves the people for communication. The people who speak that variety, it is enough for them to communicate, just as your own is enough for them, for you to communicate. Please like, subscribe, and share. And we also want to make a special appeal to all Okpameri sons and daughters at home and in diaspora. So we are compiling a dictionary of Okpameri language, which will bring us closer and make reading, writing, and teaching in Okpameri very easy. And it will also unite us. We understand ourselves perfectly. If you want to contribute to the success of that program, we thought that by now would be true with the dictionary. But of course, we've been bogged down by logistics. We need a lot of things, and our people are not responding. If God touches your heart, you want to contribute to this program, we have an account domiciled with Afekafe Microfinance Bank located at the below. If you cannot easily read that, I will drop my number. Call me, I will send you the Afekafe. That is if you want to contribute to the compilation of the dictionary. And if what I am doing interests you and you want to contribute, we need to make it perfect. We need to make it universal. We need to make it we need to make it look standard with state-of-the-art equipment. If you want to contribute to this, my number is, so thank you for listening to me. As I said in the beginning, I want you to like, subscribe, and share. And do not miss any class. In our next class, I will go to Okpameri language teaching proper. And what am I going to start with? We do not know how to write in Okpameri language. We do not know the alphabet, the letters of the alphabet, and of course, the phonemes of Okpameri language. And for that reason, even some of us who are educated cannot write in Okpameri. And sometimes when I read what people write in Okpameri, it's just a mumble jumble. They cannot separate words. They can write a sentence as just one word, okay? Not putting the different gaps or junctures, as we call them in language. They don't put them because they do not know. So in our next class, I shall be teaching you the letters and phonemes of the Okpameri language for you to learn how to write very effectively in your language. Have a nice day. Thank you.